Hi, I'm Gaby.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Chaliece. And you're listening to Music Makes Me Lose Control.
Hello, and welcome to the first Music Makes Me Lose Control podcast. We started this pod to discuss insight into the industry, talk about current events, debunk pop myths, and dive deep into happening music and artists. The name of our podcast is an indication of how music makes us feel and why we became students of the music industry in the first place. We hope to give anyone looking to work in the industry the inside scoop on school, gaining experience, and getting your foot in the door. But this podcast is not just for prospective industry professionals. We are here to talk about music topics from across the board, from music libraries to artist branding to Ariana Grande and One Direction. But today, our episode is about being a music industry student. We're going to speak on the best and worst aspects to this degree and where our journey from first year to fourth year led us. And we're handing over the inside scoop on what to expect and prepare yourself for if you plan on pursuing this degree. So, everybody, let's introduce ourselves.
So I'm Gaby, and I am from Miami, music industry major, obviously. And we're all are in the business concentration, and I have a minor in business administration and legal studies. And yeah.
What's up, everybody? I am Chaliece, music industry major, and I am from New York.
And then I am Jenna. I am from Minnesota, like outer suburbs of the Twin Cities. Music industry major. We all go to Drexel University, by the way, and business concentration. So each of us are going to graduate with a minor in business administration, and then I'm going to graduate with another minor in TV industry and enterprise. So just to give everybody an idea of why we're recording this podcast, it's our senior project, and we thought this would be the best way to express what we've learned in our 4 years of school at Drexel. And we also just have so much fun talking together, and we just want to dive deep onto music topics all around. All right, so first we're going to start off with a segment that I came up with on the spot today. Every week we're going to be wearing music merch. So I can start off, and we're going to share like where we got it, what we like about it, what we hate about it, whether we're going to get rid of it, anything. So this is my Tyler, the Creator Flower Boy sweatshirt. It is the coziest thing ever, definitely spendy. But I got it at my first Tyler concert that I ever went to. It was for the Flower Boy tour, I think, and it was in Philly. Such a good time, but I was really sad. But I got like my friends these orange ones too. They're matching. They have like little blue bees. But again, I recommend all golf wing merch because this is so soft and it's really lasted.
It's very cute. Okay, so I'm wearing my Kiana merch. Wait, let's see if you can see it. Okay, there it is from her album Kiki. I actually got this as a gift for my 21st birthday, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of this. I love me some Kiana. I love the music, this album, everything, the yellow, and I love crew neck, so 10 out of 10.
Well, mine, it's treat people with kindness, and I'd like to apologize to Harry Styles and his team because it is indeed not real. Well, my boyfriend got it for me, and he was like, that was expensive. So he found this one, and I love it. I think it's great. It's, it's a simple t-shirt, just a t-shirt. And yeah, treat
Is it
people with
soft?
kindness. It is soft. It's just a shirt.
Yeah, sometimes my merch stuff gets ratty nasty.
Yeah, no,
after
this
too
is
long.
fine.
Is it like embroidered too?
No, it's like ironed on. It's like,
Oh,
So-
it looks embroidered.
we'll see how long it lasts.
At least your boyfriend cares,
For now.
He knows which artist. it is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He did a good
He's
job.
not my boyfriend. Hairstyles.
I was going to say.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't want that.
All right, so this was What Are We Wearing Today? From our music merch pile. So let's talk about how we got to Drexel and why we wanted to go to Drexel. Why do we want to study music industry? Because a lot of people told me, how are you going to eat? And honestly, I thought I was very confident, and now I don't know because of the pandemic, but all of us have different places of where we're going and how we got to Drexel. So Chaliece, do you want to start off talking about how you came to Drexel, how you decided you want to be a music industry student?
Yes. Basically, I've always loved music. I guess that's like what everyone says, but that's literally my truth. I went on a tour to Northeastern University, and I met this girl there, and she was like, "Oh, have you heard of Drexel?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Well, they have really cool buildings, and one building has like this like wall with plants on it and stuff." She's like, "They're really good for music industry too." I was like, "All right, I'll look it up." I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of vibe. And I remember that I previously looked it up and I didn't want to go there because I didn't like the website, which is
it can ruin everything.
It does ruin a lot.
So I didn't like the website, and I guess they updated it like after she told me. So I was like, fine, I'll go on a tour. I went on a tour and I loved it. I don't know if it was Philly or I don't know, just like the campus, but I was like, yeah, I can see myself going here. So I applied, and that was like my number one school after that. I found out I got in during the last day of my high school like musical that we were doing. So I was like in the dressing room, and I got the email, and I started screaming to everybody. I'm like, I'm going to Drexel. So yeah, and from then on, I was like repping Drexel everywhere I went. Drexel was my thing. I'm like, I'm gonna be a music industry kid. Like, watch out, I'm gonna run the whole industry. And clearly, I'm not doing that now, but we'll see. Who knows what's gonna happen next? Yeah, I mean, that's basically my story of how I got here.
I'll go next. So I did well in all my classes in high school, but I never actually enjoyed myself in any class. I just, passed because that's just what I was meant to do. But I really liked orchestra. It was a class I was always looking forward to, and I really loved music, obviously. And so So then I watched Pitch Perfect 2. And, she does that internship in the recording studio. So then I was like, that's kind of cool. Can I do that? And so then I went home that night and I started like Googling like music management or music, but like I don't want to study music majors. And so then I came across music industry, but I didn't want to audition for any schools. That was like I don't want to. So that like narrowed it down to like a smaller bunch of schools that I could apply to because I really did not want to audition. And then I had a family friend that went to Drexel, and she was like, oh, I love Drexel. Like, you should check it out. So then I did. And yeah, I really liked it. And I liked how they had like the two different tracks of business and recording. So here I am, enjoying life, listening to music.
Yeah.
To butt in, it's funny. I feel like it's like important to mention how if you want to do music industry, the schools that you can go to is like kind of a small number. That's like the one thing I remember is like, oh, I have like these 15 schools that I can decide on. Okay. And everyone else is like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I can go to a whole bunch.
School.
Yeah. So that definitely made it difficult.
Yeah, because I
Very
didn't
true.
want a bachelor's of music. I wanted a bachelor's in science or arts.
Yeah, so part of my backstory, I guess, intertwines with Gaby's for a bit because we actually met before we came to Drexel. But I was kind of on the same journey in high school. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew I loved music and the arts. And I loved choir, just, singing every day was fun. But I was definitely more into like pop music, and I think just Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram were taking over my life with like all of this music content, and it was a great time. But I was like, shoot, like how am I going to get any music industry experience in the Midwest? Like there are places here, but like it's hard to get your foot in the door in such a small music market in comparison to places on the East Coast and the West Coast. So I applied to NYU's What Makes a Star music business summer program. It's like 2 weeks. And that's where I met Gaby actually. And it was like the best 2 weeks of my life. Like you went to like Warner Music in New York and saw a few shows and then just had classes on the music business. Like, I honestly don't know how much I learned. I learned something about like what publishing was, had no idea what that was. They told us A&R was dying. That has never left me. I don't know how other people feel about it now, but yeah, Gaby and I have just been saying that, like, don't go into A&R. It's dying, but there are still jobs out there for anybody who wants to work in A&R. But yeah, that was like one of the best 2 weeks ever. Met a lot of cool people. And then I came back to Minnesota and was applying to schools. And again, like Chaliece said, there are not that many schools with music industry or music business degrees that aren't like too involved in the arts, I would say. And even Drexel is like, our major program is a bit too involved in the arts. And we're going to get into that like in this podcast, at least that's my opinion. But we all the business people who didn't want to sing or do anything behind like the making music scene, like we were not into it. But Gaby said she loved Drexel. Like we were texting between the NYU music summer program and going to college, basically in applications. And I was like, if she loves it so much, and then why not apply there too? And they gave a lot of great aid. And I just thought being on the East Coast or the West Coast was the best option for me to make connections. And Drexel definitely said, like, we have connections and we have co-ops. So for anybody who doesn't know what co-ops are, Drexel has, for music industry majors, they have 3-month slots in your quarter where you can go take an internship, and you kind of have to. But it was great to just have that option to gain experience. But that's how I ended up going to Drexel. And Philly is cool. Philly's weird, but it's cool. Was Drexel any of our first choices except for maybe Gaby? Was it yours, Chaliece?
It became my first choice like later on, but I don't know. I really liked Northeastern when I went. Like I loved it there too. And
yeah,
everyone
it's
was
beautiful.
Like, that's your vibe. It's so nice. And I
don't think that is your vibe. I disagree.
That's what I heard so many people say that to me. And I'm like, okay. But I didn't get in. So clearly it wasn't my vibe.
It's a hard school to get into for sure.
It is. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I spent freshman year here at Drexel talking about leaving and going to UCLA. So clearly I never knew what I wanted.
Exactly. You really did, though.
I
was like, Chaliece, are you leaving? Like every week. Every week
you guys would say that to me because I'm like, no, I'm just going to apply. And then I'd like miss the deadline. And then I'd just be like, whatever, I guess I'll stay. Like, I'm just so indecisive. I don't know.
My biggest thing was just staying in a city. Because my sisters went to schools in like small college towns, and I was like, absolutely not. I can't do that. So my thing was always just staying in a city. That was like my biggest concern when applying to college, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I was just thinking about Jenna saying about A&R, and that was like my plan for coming here. I remember when we would like sit in class and they'd be like, oh, what do you want to do? I'm like, A&R, and then I want to own my own record label. And I remember Jenna saying to me, A&R is dying. And I was like,
no, and you know what was so funny?
That?
So funny about the first few weeks of school, like everybody went around and they were like, what do you want to do? And they're all like, I want to own my own label. And I was like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming
from? That was me. I was that person.
You said you wanted your own label?
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe I didn't say it out loud because I was nervous.
There were more too.
But I like said it in my head. I was like, yeah, I want my own record label. And then I like started meeting everyone around me, and I was like, maybe I don't.
Yeah, everyone really wanted to. And I'm over here I think it's like a totally different thing when you like are in high school and if you come from like a small school and stuff, and then to step into like the college world with people that are like semi like-minded, you know, like music lovers and stuff. Like I never met people that looked at music the same way that I did, or like was really trying to identify it and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I want to own my own record label. Never met anyone else who wanted to do that. And then I got here and I was like, everyone's like raising their hand, record label. Oh, yep, record label. I want a Grammy and this. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is similar. Like, why is this the same? It was weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened. I remember getting here and having to go to like one of the orientation stuff, and they like divided us into small groups to like go speak to Denise. And I was so nervous because my attire is, you know, not very out there ever. So I was just like in my jeans and a freaking t-shirt. And then I see everyone and everyone's wearing these like cool stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't fit in here. I was like, I look so bland and boring compared to everyone else. And then I was also embarrassed because no one came out and said they listened to pop music. And so then I was like, oh, maybe I'm the odd one out here.
The amount of shame. The amount of shame. I swear we all, like, at least our, like, the three of us, there's more people like us in our major. They're just not here today. But it felt like when we got there, it was like, there is nobody here like me. Like, they're saying all these artists that I don't know. Like, they're talking about house shows, which we will talk about in full in one of our episodes. And I was like, I guess is this the right place for me? I don't know. I was always second guessing, but I still found Gaby and Chaliece, and we have a lot of similar vibes when it comes to music, but still some different. So at least I found some people who were on the same wave.
It took a while though.
You know what was one of the weirdest things about coming to Drexel? So like, it was like a few months in, and people were like, yeah, I'm managing this artist now. And I was like, oh, so I got stressed. And I was like, I need experience now. And then I talked to Chaliece because she said she wanted to be an artist. And I was like, hey, like, I could be your manager. Like, I'll hook you up. Nothing came of it. We had like 2 meetings, but it was just like, and then I was like, Chaliece, like, you know, I don't want to be a manager, because we had like artist management class, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, there was a meeting about a contract at some point. There was.
I didn't know. This is the first I hear of this.
There was some times that we'd go to like the studio and stuff. But yeah, I I think it's a lot of pressure, like coming into this. I think probably in any industry, it's the same, you feel pressure from other people. But when it comes to the music industry, we are all like low key, like pressuring each other just by like what we're doing. And some people were just naturally like good at this stuff. They were fixing up these like old machines. Like I remember seeing some people on Instagram and looking at the stuff that they've done, whether it was like managing artists or like had like music release and stuff, or they were like fixing up these like old record players, or like they were just into this whole industry. And I'm like, I can sing a little bit. I pride myself on my voice. And then I got here and I was like, I gotta do better. Like I have to sing. I have to be this artist that I've always wanted to be. And then talk to Jenna. I'm like, easy, got a manager just like that. She's my friend. And then like, I don't know, all of that like kind of fell off. I was like, this whole industry, I don't know. And being an artist, I don't know. And it's crazy how much you kind of like rethink everything you thought you've always wanted. And like, I did it millions of times and I still do it now with the industry. I'm like, like, what am I going to do once it hits June when I'm graduating? What am I going to do? And I still don't know. So,
yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been there. Like, how many times have you all felt like maybe you should switch your major? Like, for me, it's been at least like 2.
Oh, I never wanted to switch my major.
Oh, you were like chill.
Yeah, I was fine because I took the law class sophomore year, I think. And so once I took that class, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to law school after this. Like, this is just a major I'm doing because I like music, but like, I'm just going to go to law school after this. So, because I was like, okay, cool. Say I want to switch my major. I was like, what do I want to switch my major to? Like, what would I do? I don't really like any. I would be just as miserable. So, if not even more, in another major. So, I like the major.
Yeah, I remember I was like, if I do switch my major, literally just that, what am I doing? I was like, I've only loved music my whole life. Like, that's it. This is my whole persona, music. So what else would I do that would make me any happier? And I was like, probably nothing. So I'll stick with it and see what comes of it. And yeah, I mean, I'm still here, so.
Yeah, for me, it was like, I took one TV class and I was like, oh, I love it. Like, maybe I should change my major. But at that point, I was so far in, already had so much money invested into the music industry major. So I was like, let me just stick this out. And that's the thing, like Chaliece said, like, we all love music. Like, there's no doubt about it. But you have to pay a lot of money to, like, get this major. So, I mean, if it was cheaper, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll learn about music for 4 years. That'd be sick. But I guess, I don't know. We learned, would you guys say that we've all learned a lot about the music industry? And how much of that can you like apply to maybe your life going forward?
I mean, I definitely learned a lot. Like, there's no denying that I learned a lot. But I feel like if I'm not going to work in the music industry, then there's only so much I can apply, like what I learned to my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, some of the classes that we were required to take for the major, definitely helpful. I mean, the law class contracts, very helpful. I learned a lot of things in that class. So I'm just saying. And then the business, I mean, the way I like to explain the major to some people is like, it's basically a business major just with a concentration in music industry. Like, it's no different. So, I mean, yeah, it can be applied to life, and I definitely learned a lot, but if it's not the industry you're going to work in, then you can only apply so much.
True.
Yeah. I feel like I learned a lot, but I also learned that I didn't need the degree to be in the music industry. And it's not just like I learned that from other students. I've been taught that from professionals, have said it multiple different times. People that work in the industry have said, oh, well, I didn't go to college for music, and I don't really think you need it. So that's the kind of advice that I say now. I had like this one customer in my retail job come up to me and they're like, oh, my nephew wants to go to school for music. He wants to be an artist. And I was like, no. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, tell him not to go. It's just the money. It's the stress. Like, I feel like school is important, I guess, in different levels, but just not for the industry. I don't think it's necessary. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like to tell people just to, save them $1 or, a couple $1,000.
But like, I see the appeal for like a kid that wants to be an artist, and then like your parents are like, but you have to go to college. Like I see the appeal in the major. If you want to be an artist and your parents are basically telling you have to go study, like you might as well. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It depends on the situation you're in.
Yeah.
I think an artist is like one of the hardest jobs you can have in the music industry, 100%. Like thinking back to just Chaliece and us having conversations about like whether she wanted to be a full-time artist and like dedicate her life to that. Like that's exactly what being an artist is. Like you have to be thinking about your vision all the time and like what your music is going to be and who you want to work with and building those relationships to like make your art like the best it can be and like grow into whatever size artist you want to be too. So again, like you can totally get into the music industry without getting a degree. It's more about getting experience. And with the internet now, you can look up almost anything. Like as a high schooler, I maybe did not have the tools or know how to do that. So I thought going to get a degree was in my best interest because I did kind of still feel in the dark. And I definitely have learned a lot from professors just about where to go, where to look, and they've provided materials. And we've gone through like case studies that have helped me learn, I guess. But it's definitely not for everybody. And I think the biggest thing if you want to go into the music industry is to just go out there and get experience as soon as possible. And then they say networking. I hate networking. I just like making friends. Someone did classify networking as just making friends, but I don't think it's the same thing exactly. But yeah.
Yeah. Jumping off of like how you basically could get into the industry just by like technology and stuff. We're going to talk about TikTok in a later episode, but just recently today, I saw this video about an internship in the music industry. And I don't know if it's me being selfish, but sometimes I'll think and I'm like, I'm going to school for 4 years to like want to get a job in the industry. And these people are just putting it on TikTok for anyone, because sometimes you don't need like that industry like degree to get that job. So while everyone is like applying for these jobs, it's like, man, the people who are actually going to school because that's what they want to do in life basically can't get the job because it's open to anyone. So, I mean, like that's also that can be with anything, but when it comes to like TikTok and how it gets to so many people or like just anything with technology, it's like you can't really get that job because so many more people are going for it now because they know how easy it is and they like present it as being so easy. Just apply. Like you can get it. It's at home because, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like you can do it. And it's like, dang, I kind of want that job. I went to school for that job and I might not get that job.
So let's talk a bit about like what happened when we got here. What happened when we got to Drexel? I can start. So, I remember the first week, obviously you're worried about making friends so you're not alone in this city that you've never been to before. But like being in the music industry, as Gaby said, there are a lot of people that were definitely not in the same like wave as you. They liked all this different music that you didn't, or they seemed to have it all figured out. And honestly, I don't think they did. I think they were just acting like they did. But in our first year, like we had to take a lot of these classes that were more about making music. And I personally, I have no interest. Like I love music and I definitely wanted to learn about the process, but we were actually forced into the process using Logic and Pro Tools. And then we had these other two, we had music theory, we had
Ear training.
Yeah, ear training, songwriting, and it was just all of these music classes that was a part of our music concentration built within our major. And I definitely struggled with that 100%. And I was always like, why do I have to learn this? Because I don't want to have to do this like in my life ever. I wanted to be on the business side always. But I can't say that I didn't learn anything. Like I know how to use some stuff. I think I forgot a lot of it now with like the digital audio work systems, which is long for DAW, which is what our class was called. But yeah, we had a lot of long nights just trying to figure out how to use this stuff and record. So that was like the hardest part of the first year at Drexel for me.
Yeah, I could definitely hop on that train. I mean, I remember being in the first DAW class and the professor literally knew how much I struggled to the point where he would explain what we had to do. And then he'd come straight to where I was sitting and he was like, do you need help? And I was like, yeah, I do need help. Actually, I have no clue what you just said. I can't process all of that. So for me, that was definitely songwriting and all that. It was just embarrassing because I just knew I was bad at it. But the like actual technology part of it, it bothered me so much because I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. And it just made me mad. No matter how many times I tried, you put me in a recording studio, still can't set up a microphone. It's just so frustrating, honestly.
Yeah, like I said before, kind of in the first year, I wanted to be an artist. I was like, okay, we're doing this right now. But yeah, when it came to like the digital stuff, I was never good at it. I would sit there and like try to do like drums or something. And I'm like, doom, doom, doom for like just something stupid. And like, I remember in class, we had to, I don't even know what it was called, but like when we had to like make something like real quick, it would be like at the last, like, whatever.
Like, it was yes. Like, we were scared. I practiced ahead of time and it was like, I picked out every single thing I was going to use. So when I came back to the computer for our 30 minutes, I was ready.
I just used the loops. They were my lifesavers.
Yep.
I was like, that's a cool bass. Loop it.
The only original thing I did was chords. I went,
I couldn't even do that.
That was it.
So yeah, bad. I really couldn't do any of it. When it came to the songwriting, I was like, okay, I got this. I was like, ooh, yeah, like I'm ready. But even that was like, it was okay. I just feel like, I don't know if it was like the lack of sleep or, you know, trying to be a normal like college kid at the same time. It was like difficult to put all those together for me. But I'm not going to say it wasn't fun. It was kind of fun.
It was the intense criticism when it was obviously not what I wanted to do. And I don't want to make music and I don't need you to criticize me so greatly for something that I'm really struggling with and that I know is not good. Like, just leave it at like, yeah, it could have been better. But like, you don't got to criticize me in front of the whole class. Yeah. It's rude.
And for the songwriting class, so like I just thought that was the most chaotic thing in the world. Like you have all like maybe half, if not more than half, music business students, and you're saying make a song and then present it to the class with you singing over it. And I'm like, did I sign up to sing when I signed up for this major?
You had to make comments. He would pick you to make comments on other people's songs. And I'll be honest, I was in some tough positions sometimes.
Oh my God, we all were. That was like the craziest part. Like, it was just forcing everyone to play it in front of everyone else. Like, some people can't do it. And in our class, like, some people actually couldn't do it. Like, it was bad. So, like, it's when you see that type of like response from students, you would think that you would be like, okay, there's some students that know how to sing or that know how to make this music. I'm going to have their songs be played each time because clearly they kind of know what they're doing. It's not going to like ruin their whole soul if they get their song played. But that was not the case. Everyone's was played. We all had to make comments. I was like making up comments in my head, like, let me find something positive to say about some of these that weren't exactly amazing. But yeah, that might be mean, but
no, I had to write stuff down. And try to like craft it out before I was asked, just in case.
I mean, hearing my voice over those speakers it's traumatizing.
Oh my God. I was like, look to the ground. I literally can't hear this right now. It was the worst.
Sometimes I'd look around though when it was like my song playing to see like other people's reactions, and I'd be like, no, I should have kept my head down.
Oh my God. We're going to break into flashbacks only music industry students would have, which will be a recurring segment on Music Makes Me Lose Control. And I just want to talk about these recording classes where we had to actually sit down and record stuff in the studios all night. And again, Gaby said, like, you go into each studio every single time. You're like, how do we work this thing? We talked about it in class for like 3 hours today, and I'm still have no idea what I'm doing. Like, trying to list even like the ins and the outs. Like, it was such a struggle every time. It's like, I need an engineer with me now. I don't know how to do this. I have no idea how to do this. And like, I remember Chaliece was always a singer on my projects because we would work together. We were in the same classes. And like, I would be in the booth just trying to make it work. And some days you would go there, something would be wrong and you'd have to leave. So that whole studio session is just trashed. You guys have any memories of being in the studio?
I do. I went into the studio to record my first recording project. And we couldn't get anything to turn on. We clicked every button. We plugged everything in. We did what's the thing called with the wires that you move them from like input one to like output whatever?
Don't know, but I remember what it looks like.
Yeah, I remember what it looks like. I remember I couldn't figure it out, hence the situation.
I have pictures on my phone trying to remember like what to put it into.
Yeah, but the thing is it changes every time. So then we couldn't figure it out. So then we had to call someone else to come. But they were like, I'm busy, give me like 30 minutes. So then we were like, okay, well, maybe we should finish the song because we hadn't done that either. So then we were working on the song and it was getting late. And I was going on a flight the next day and I was upset. And so then this person comes, gets the recording studio to work. And then we realize after a good portion that it didn't sound good. Like the microphone was like fuzzy. I don't know. Point is that we had to trash the entire thing and then go to the recording studio you guys were at. So then you guys finished and then we had to start. And by that point, it was like 3 a.m. or like 4 a.m. And then we still hadn't even finished writing the freaking song. And so it was just poor to the point that the song literally says boo thing. And we thought that was a good idea. We were like, this is genius. And we ended up we finished recording at like 6 a.m. and it came out so bad. I mean, this song's a banger, I'll be honest, but like, it's not great. It wasn't worth all that trouble.
Yeah, and we still had to present all of these songs to the class
presented
too.
Mine.
I think my favorite part is, like, even though we went through like so much stress, the Snapchat memories that I have, I will take those to my grave. They are the funniest things in the world. It's just like our brains, I don't know what they were doing in those moments, but I don't know. It was like we were drugged up on music because we were there.
Was bad music. It was terrible.
It was bad music. It was bad. Like, but it was also good for us. But it was bad. But it was like, that's the thing where it's like, it was kind of fun. Like when you look back at it, it's like, wow, you know, at least we were like hanging out and like doing, you know, like some stuff together. But it was insane the amount of time that we spent on it and just how last minute. Like I remember writing and singing a song for Jenna's project. And I went to the studio and met them and I didn't even finish half the song. So I sat there and like, I was like, okay, got to write some words down. Let me finish the rest. Verse 2, got it. Okay. And then I recorded right there. Like, okay, this is what it is. And just going to have to deal with it at this moment. But it's crazy how long we spent doing these songs.
Yeah. And the professor is like, here's how you do this. And you're the student in class, just like trying to toy around with it. Like, I'm telling you, the business kids, like, I don't know how we passed. I don't know how we did it. And like, for like one of the songs, again, it will live on in memory with me forever. And just those nights for sure. We're going to play it. But this is the product of me and Chaliece working in the basement of one of the most iconic Drexel buildings of all time, Drexel 1, where all of our studios are. And we're trying to make a music, and it is so hard. I don't know how producers do it. To make it sound good, to make it all be like in time, to even figure out the time. Like if you have a melody in your head, how do you get it into like the digital audio system? I'm like, I was literally just there like, I had this thing in my head, like Chaliece and I would send back and forth voice memos, useless. We don't know how to even put it in there. What is the song called, Chaliece? It's like waiting. I'm waiting.
I guess. This, I don't know if I like blanked out that time and I like half remember it, but I don't know. I don't even remember the name.
This was the best we could do on our second project in this class. And the third one was just like mastering. So like, this is all we had. This is all we had. And just to give you guys an idea about how long we'd be in there, we planned ahead because we knew how long this was going to take after the first few times of trying to record something. And we'd be like, okay, so what night can we stay up all night and leave at 6 a.m.? And unfortunately, it was a few of those. And we would just be in there cracking up. Not enough snacks. We should have gotten more snacks, but we were broke. Okay, so here is Waiting, I believe, sung by Dillon, crafted by Jenna Harju and Dillon. Enjoy.
So,
Yeah?
Delancey,
You guys,
if you don't make a move, someone else will.
I don't even know if she's into me.
Gee, how could you find that out? I don't know, maybe if you ask her out.
But
Don't be a wimp. She wants a guy who can step up and talk to her.
she said that.
We had a time requirement.
Clearly.
This was all Ryan Schwab. He said, change your drums. So abrupt.
Stop treating me like scum. I'm here standing, so come on, where's my ring? I am waiting, I am waiting, I am waiting, baby. I am waiting, I am waiting, I am waiting, baby.
It's the pauses, like.
And then I just want to fast forward to the end because it's cute. I was the one that fought for the laughs. I said, let's keep them all in.
I know.
Whoa, 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 'cause I'm done waiting.
She sounds like a pop star. So that was waiting. That was the best we could come up with in that many hours. And we had a deadline. We had to turn it in. So let's wrap this up. Do you guys want to talk about your co-ops, your favorite classes, anything we learned, and what in the heck are we going to do after this? After these 4 years.
I'll go first. So I only had one co-op because my second co-op got canceled due to a pandemic. So that was sad. But I learned a lot in my first co-op. It was a publishing co-op in LA. And I learned that I don't want to live or work in LA. So I was not having a good time while I was there. At least, I didn't move there after graduation because that would have been really upsetting. So, but besides the city, I learned a lot about publishing. I really liked reading through the contracts and doing all the numbers of how much royalty the songwriter was going to get and how much the publisher was going to get, because the publishing company I was working at was mostly the admin. So it was cool to learn that. But at the end of the day, I was just sure I wanted to go to law school, and I still am. So my favorite classes were the law classes, 100%. And so I'm going to law school in August. Don't know which one yet. Got into 4. And that's it for me.
We love someone who has a planned out life.
It's because I'm scared of graduating and not having a job. So I'm just going for more school.
No, that
feels like a safe option.
You got the best plan. Let's see. My only co-op, of course, pandemic ruined the second co-op. My only co-op was at a PR firm in Brooklyn. I loved it. I met some really cool people there. There were other interns, and we're still friends now. And we talk about getting different jobs in the industry. They both are graduated already. So it's fun to have people help you out. That's the type of networking I like to do, where I'm not going around in this whole conference room and, hi, my name is Chaliece Dillon. We just work together. So, we help each other out still. The job, though, was a lot of fun. It was mainly, of course, just publicity, but I guess my favorite part was going to different shows, because one of their clients was this summertime, they put on shows basically every summer, and a whole bunch of different music artists, and that range from all the genres you can think of. So I would sit in the front of the show, and I was basically checking in the different people that were working PR and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I also got to network that way too. I met people who worked for Atlantic Records and stuff like that. And then I would always get to go and see the show as well, which was the best part. And backstage and stuff. Everyone loves that kind of inside scoop. But yeah, I really loved it. After doing that, I did want to go into PR and publicity. I could see myself doing it, but I don't know if I love it. I loved the co-op. I don't know if I'd love doing publicity and stuff for the rest of my life. So yeah, I really don't have a plan. I was thinking about graduating and, maybe leaving America for a little bit. I don't know. I might stay in Philly. I'm kind of all over the place. But my story is basically to be continued. It's because I don't know what's going to happen. And even with the stress of, parents being like, find a plan. What are you doing after school? My answer is still, I don't know.
Yep.
I'm just going to try and get a job.
Exactly. I mean, I'm like, even though you get the degree to get a better working wage, like at this point, it's like some of the jobs that even maybe we wanted, like, aren't there anymore. And when they become available, they're going to get taken by the people that lost them first, because they're going to have all the experience. And that's something that I've been stressed out about. But in terms of my time at Drexel, like, my favorite classes were definitely some of the TV ones, because I'm just kind of obsessed with television. Like, I had a teen drama class where we just sat and watched teen dramas for the whole class and then analyzed it, and it was like heaven. And I love learning about the business stuff, even though it was hard sometimes. Like, financing was definitely my lowest point, but the business classes were good. And then I think the best part about the music industry major as a whole for me was going through every single topic and figuring out what I was like, oh, I kind of like that. And then the things that I hated, like, I didn't want to be a part of it at all. And then, of course, like, it also depended on the professor, because if you had a professor that painted the topic in a certain way, it could change your view of that part of the industry or your place in it, which definitely happened to me with live music, because I always loved live music, but they made it sound like it was terrible. And in the first class, and then the second class I had, it was like way more interesting. But yeah, I think that was the best part of being at Drexel, was just like the process of elimination and figuring out things. And then, of course, you're at a college, like, you get to meet a bunch of people and have that experience. It just costs you a lot to be there, which is probably the biggest downside. And then I think don't be afraid to look into other stuff too. Like, that's my advice. Like, do a double minor, take other classes, and don't be afraid to go out to new events, meet new people. It's a good time if you just kind of like put yourself out there. And then for my future, I'm also very unsure. I wanted to work in live music, but it's just leveled out right now, obviously, because even if people are having shows, it's not like there's not enough money in it right now. And it's just the live music industry is a whole mess. But I was planning to maybe go into that. But then the pandemic happened, just so I can move around the country, because there's live music everywhere. But I still don't really have a plan either. Like, I don't know, the next 6 months to a year will be very interesting. I think every music industry student learned a lot this year about like what can happen when these kinds of things happen. So what do you guys think that the one thing is that artists and music professionals should know about before going into the music industry, or what's one piece of advice and what's going to be crucial to their career? That's what I was going to say too. That's what I was going to say.
Artists that don't know how publishing works, it's just, okay, make music. How are you going to get paid?
Mm-hmm. So, read your contracts, get a manager. It'll cost you money, but it's money well spent. I think if you can keep the ownership to your music, own that shit.
Yeah, don't give away your copyrights.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of, if I learned correctly here, a lot of labels say they'll own it for a certain amount of time, right? If you sign a contract with like a major.
Yeah. I think they own it if it's an exclusive contract, something like that. So read your contract, very important.
Read your
People are
contract.
trying to screw you over. So
Yeah, and make money through publishing, please.
Yep.
Your music is worth it. Get it onto a TV show because that's where I find music.
this is true.
I'd say make sure you love it. Protect your mental health. Because, you know, it could be like worse for you. Even if you're making all this money, if you don't love what you're doing, you might hate your life. And no one wants that. So if you want to do it, make sure you love it.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to our first podcast. Join us next week when we talk about the pandemic's effect on the music industry, also known as Music Kids Need Jobs. Missy Elliott,
Please.
call us. We want the mechanical license. Bye.
Bye.